What's up, Yusuf? It's good to see you. So yes, I'm back from my trip, St. Lucia. I spent a month there, and I had a lot of fun. First 2 weeks, I spent it with my kids and my family, my wife and stuff, and then the last 2 weeks I spent it in the south with my dad, and um, and then we also I spent it with my business partner Ashen. We worked on the Seamoss business and did a few things, and yeah, and here we are today, Sunday. I've been back for like about a week. I took another week. Well, I got back this time Sunday night, and I got back late, so I didn't end up doing a live stream. And then Wednesday, something happened Wednesday, and I know I was busy, so I kind of like kiboshed that. And then here I am now, um, Sunday night, and we're talking about CMOS. If anybody wants to join in on the chat, you can hit a request, or I'll put the link in the Facebook chat so that those watching on Facebook and YouTube can see it. That's how the algorithm is. They know when you're thinking about CMOS. They can tell like how many times you think about it based on your activities, and then they're like, "Hey, let's show you this live stream where we're talking about CMOS." Um, Divinely, let me know if you have any questions about CMOS, or if you even want to join in on the conversation and talk to me live. I am going to eat my sandwich here because I got so busy and caught up that I didn't get a chance to eat anything. I had to grab something fast, which is not good, but at the same time, everything's good in moderation, I guess. So you want to carry CMOS? No problem. Um, I think first thing you got to do when you establish that you want to sell CMOS is you got to figure out how you want to sell CMOS, what ways you want to sell it. Um, you know, do you want to wholesale it? Do you want to make gels, other different products? Do you want to make a series of products? Because depending on how you approach the business or how you want to approach the business will really determine on what sort of angle you get in at it or how you start. You know what I mean? A wholesaler, if you want to sell a lot of CMOS, you can't start with like 100 pounds, at least in my opinion. You know, um, once you get going, you know what I mean? Like you might sell 100 pounds in a week. You know what I mean? I know some people that sell 100 pounds in a day, and so you're trying to capture that market. You don't want to be running out of CMOS too quickly because sometimes the lead time to get your CMOS order in, especially if you're getting it directly from St. Lucia, can sometimes take up to like 2-3 weeks, And so if you order your CMOS and you're out for the first week and you got 2 weeks to go, all that work that you did to build that momentum is going to be lost. And so, and rightly so, if you're making gels, you don't need to go and buy 100 pounds. If you're making gel, you might start out with 5 pounds, you know, or 10, hmm And then you need to know how you want to sell these gels. Are you going to do farmers markets? Are you going to wholesale it to other people? I know one guy who makes a killing because he sells it to the barbershops and all the bodegos and stuff like that, and he sells it to them wholesale, and then they resell it. I don't think he puts a brand on it. He just sells it in the plain label, and then they slap their label on it. Almighty, I'll see you in September. Yeah, I haven't nailed down my dates yet, but I think I'm going to try and nail down the dates in the next like 2-3 weeks before the end of July. If I can nail down my dates before the end of the month, I'm going to plan a Seamoss tour. I was working on it today. It's probably going to be about 5 days, 6 nights, and the it'll be 5 days, 6 nights, and it'll have a few days on the farms. You'll have interviews with farmers and stuff. We'll show you foods of the local cuisine. We'll do a couple of tours around the island, different areas for you to view. Um, you know, and I think it would be a really good trip. You know what I mean? We'll probably incorporate like a herbs element to it so that people can learn about herbs and stuff. It won't be just all about Seamoss. And yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I think it'd be a lot of fun. A lot of people will learn a lot, and it'll be a good connection. And I think in the days we'll do something where it's like in the days you're going in the Seamoss farm, and then in the nights we'll talk about business strategies and marketing and do research. Like basically, we'll sit down and like go through it. If you have a business, we'll go through your business and work right there on hand. Like, hey, how do we solve these problems that the business has? Because everybody's business has different problems. And it's like, how do you solve those problems? Really, you know, it's it's important, and I think there's one skill that I think God's given me is that I'm really good at solving problems and just being resourceful and figuring things out. So mhm, I think that would be dope too. And that kind of makes me go into talking about earlier today on the CMOS Buyers Club, or maybe it wasn't today, it was the day before. I put out a post um, looking for people to work together to basically establish like a mastermind group so that we can all um, kind of like work with each other to come up with better ideas on how to grow everybody's business. So, Mighty, what airport you fly into? You got to fly into UVF, which for it's Urinero Airport, Hiranora Airport at St. Lucia. I don't know what the UV stands for, but the VF. Sorry, I don't know. I know what the U is, but the VS should be view for. So it's UVF. There's an SLU, and that's in the north. Um, you don't want to fly into SLU because it's far away from where we're located in the where the CMOS Farms is. And the place I've already kind of decked, like scoped it out. It's a really nice villa. Everybody would get their own room, and we could probably work out a price for like people that are doubling up, because then they'll pay a little less. But like for the most part, all the meals will be included. The in the price, the transportations to all the different events will be included in the price and everything like that. So you just come, but there will be kind of like a set menu unless you have very dietary restrictions. But I can have we're gonna have one of the top vegan chefs on the island come down and basically cook for you guys. And this is a guy that him and I think it's his sister or someone else. They're really good at what they do when it comes to whatchamacallit, um, cooking different meals that are vegan like. And then stuff that are non-vegan, they'll probably do too, because I'm not a vegan. I like fried chicken. What can I say? Do I have a date yet? No, I don't have a date yet. I will know kind of like a date more when I have a better idea on when I'm going to be there. But I'm looking to be there towards the end of October, early November, sometime between there. So I will keep everybody sort of updated as the time goes on. So hungry. So I'm sorry to be eating while on camera, but this is what happens when you work nonstop and you don't really have time to eat. You make time to eat. So getting back to what I was talking about. So yeah, I'm going to do this mastermind group where we work together to help each other. Oh, you'll be there in September. How can you get in contact? Just message me on Instagram before you go down there. If I'm not there, my business partner lives there, so he can meet up with you and show you around, and we can figure out what you want to do while you're there. Yeah. So earlier this week, or just the other day, I put a post out on the Seamoss Buyers Club where I was calling for people to work together. I haven't figured out how I would kind of explain it to everybody, so you have to bear with me while I try to describe what my plans are or what my thoughts are of the plan, and it might change slightly as we go on, but I'm in the process of creating something that's going to expand on the current Seamoss Buyers Club. It's an actual Seamoss club, and so in this club, it will have a bunch of I guess features and benefits that come with being a member of the said club, and some of those. Let me get a list here because I was working on it, putting the ideas together. Okay. So, in this club that I'm going to start, the expansion of the current Seamoss Buyers Club, with your membership, you're going to get discounts on Seamoss. And so you'll pay some of the lowest prices in the industry for the quantities that you're getting. It will be verified clean Seamoss. We'll also have certain specials on different grades of Seamoss and stuff. It will definitely be of some of the highest premium quality. We've while I was in St. Lucia, I've worked with pretty much sort of secured relationships with a different group of networks of farmers that I know that will be producing a lot of Seamoss. So we'll have a lot of supply. That's not a problem. And then the quality is going to be high. And this club is really meant for those that are serious and are like focused on wanting to sell large quantities of Seamoss. And so there'll be incentives or advantages of being a member, like we'll negotiate discounts on packaging and stuff like that. I'm working on a relationship right now where we're going to have an in-house designer, so when you want your labels and stuff done, you can go to this guy and for free or for a very low price, depending on the level of work, you'll be able to get, new bags done or logos done, that kind of stuff, which is, a huge savings on, on your business. And so the whole purpose of the membership is to basically create, supports for people and their business as they're growing, mainly in the supply sector. So supports on bags, so we get you discounts on bags and stuff, discounts on boxing and packaging and stuff like that. I'm in the talks with a label manufacturer, a guy that just makes labels, and so I'm figuring out how we can, offer something where it'll allow you guys to, send in the labels to a label company, and then they'll send you back labels that you can put on your packaging, and then have good rates on them. The idea is not to make money on these services, but to, offer these services at a cost or next to cost for being a member. You know, we'll have group coaching calls. I'll bring in people that are experts on marketing and different stuff, where they'll come and speak to the membership about different areas. I'll be able to, like, say, negotiate something with like a Klaviyo partner or a Shopify partner, where they'll come in and explain the services and what they do. You know what I mean? That will all be included in the membership. One of the other things I have the plan is, I'm going to create, like, I don't know how to describe it, but imagine like a think tank for recipes. And so you subscribe to this membership, and part of the membership is that we give you recipes and ideas for new products that you can introduce into your lineup. And so if you wanted to say, like, we might do something where we'll give you a recipe on lemonades and show you a bunch of lemonades, because lemonades are hot. Or here's a recipe on hair products. Or we've developed this recipe on soaps, so here's the recipe on soaps. You know what I mean? Or we'll work out with someone who makes soaps and say, okay, for our group, we want to, you to sell us the Seamoss soaps at a reduced rate, wholesale, so that these guys can go and have one person that they can go and get their Seamoss soaps from, and they'd be sort of like an approved vendor. So those are some of the things with the membership. But in addition to this membership, I wanted to do like more of a really advanced private class of Seamoss sellers, and they would come in and meet like maybe once or twice a month, and we'd be doing like coaching and accountability. And so you get, work through your problems of what's going on in your business, ideas on how to scale, ideas on how to save money and stuff. I'll show you guys, especially in this private group, I will show you guys pretty much everything that's going on in my business. You know what I mean? Like what our daily sales are. What did I do to make those sales? What is our ad spend? What are the messages that I'm putting out and stuff like that. And so the idea is to kind of like give someone insight into someone who's already doing something that they want to do, which is the marketing and promotion, which I feel many of us in this space are really not taking advantage of. And this is the big thing that's holding us back from growing. You know what I mean? Not enough people are really investing their money back into their business or advertising, So, and then also there'll be like discounts on the tours to St. Lucia, because I want to try and do at least 2 to 3 tours a year where we're doing some kind of Seamoss kind of convention, or not convention, like symposium. I don't know what you call it, but basically, those that are serious and passionate about CMOS, I want to try and have an event like at least twice a year, maybe 3 times a year in St. Lucia, where you would come down and we would do something CMOS related. And so those are some of the things that I'm sort of planning for the future, um, especially with the CMOS Buyers Club. I feel like we need to kind of grow it a bit more and take it a little to the level where it can come off of Facebook and also be a little bit more interactive with those core members that are really serious about growing and building their business and that are passionate about CMOS. Yeah, man, I want to be able to give them something that's more advanced and, just more that fuels their business, that helps fuel their growth, because, why are you coming to this group every day if it's not to learn something or, be able to sell your products better? I mean, that was kind of like the whole thing, that the purpose of creating that group in the first place. Well, to grow a platform so that people can grow and sell their products, right? But the reality is that these platforms, they're not the only space where you should be selling. You know what I mean? And in fact, you should always be selling if you're serious about your business. And even tonight, like, the reason why I'm late for the live stream, the reason why I didn't start at 9 o'clock like I had planned, is because someone had wanted to meet me before. And I originally planned to meet them and give enough time. And this is what I was thinking on the way, like I was like doing this, was just like, we have no control over time, and sometimes you just got to accept that it's kind of like, there's people in control of things that you have no control over. You know what I mean? For example, like today I was late mainly because my car, I've taken it off the road when I left from St. Lucia, so I haven't really put it back so that I can drive it. And so I'm having to borrow my wife's car. And she needs her car. It's her car, right? And so because I didn't really communicate with her well, or plan it right, but she needed the car when I needed to meet this guy, and I had to wait. You know what I mean? And by the time I got there, I met the guy. I mean, it was already like after 9 and this and that. And so I don't know. Sometimes you just got to be understanding when things don't happen the way you want to happen, or there's always these curves. Like, I don't know. I never just I sometimes just accept the fact that we have no control. Like, you want to use your time as efficiently as possible, but at the end of the day, you have no control over it. And so, yeah, so I got here late, and I don't know, kind of went off topic about why, but that's the whole reason why I was here late, is because I went to meet this guy. Oh, just that was it. It's just like how business never stops. It's all predestined evolution. I agree. Um, Rhonda, the thought healer. Yes, I do agree that everything happens for a reason, and even the things that you don't want to happen for a reason. Like, that's the one thing I've kind of realized as I've become more, as I would say, like, spiritually observant. And I see that there's a lot of times where I really want something to work out. You know what I mean? And sometimes I have to ask myself, should I just let things be the way that they are, even though I'm not happy with the way things are? And or do I go in and step and try and sort of manipulate? Not, I don't want to use the word manipulate it, but sort of change things so that they're more favorable to how I would like to see them, or have them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Some, like, I always think about the time that we caught the guy naked in our CMOS farms, and how the whole day I was pissed because and I never said anything. I'm one of those guys, like, even when I'm upset about something, I kind of keep it to myself. But I was pissed that, like, we were supposed to be on the beach from 10 a.m. and it was 4 o'clock and we were there. And that's the thing that people got to understand with St. Lucia. Sometimes these things take time. And I'm planning for something and I'm thinking something can go one way. And then it's just like this person comes late, that person, and it just like it snowballs into, you know what I mean? And like the one thing I've realized with my partner is that anything can happen at any time, and he can be pulled, like, he has so much responsibility to the people in his community that a lot of times, like, they need help. Like, no one can do certain things but him, and he has to do it. You know what I mean? And so there's times where it's like, you know what I mean, we're on the way to do something important, and he's got to go do something, and it's like, fuck, this person needs help. We're not turning our back on that. You know what I mean? I respect his loyalty to his people, that a lot, because of that. But I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, it was just, oh, that was it, the time. And so, getting back to the story that I was about to talk about, was that I was pissed because we were supposed to be there from 10 a.m. and it was 4 p.m. and we're just getting to the farm, and the sun goes down at like 6 o'clock, 6:30, and so there was only 2 hours to do something that we were supposed to do, like was supposed to take us all day, and every day it was getting pushed back. You know what I mean? It was one of those things that, like, is this ever going to happen? And so I never said anything. I think he knew I was upset, but whatever. But when we get on the beach, we see this guy running on down on the beach, and turns out the guy's naked. Yeah, you know what I mean. And that was what was crazy, is that he was. I'm like, is this normal? And my partner's just like, no, you know what I mean. So they jump out and they start yelling at the guy and patois and stuff like that, and ask him what he's doing there. Da da da. He made up some story, but then they went and followed him, and they realized he was stealing the sea moss from the farms. And so, had we not come there, like, on a Friday at 4 o'clock, had we said, "Ah, fuck it, we're not going to do it," this and that, we would have missed seeing this guy. And this guy, like, there was a lot of theft going on, and no one could figure out who was stealing the sea moss and how. You know what I mean? And it turned out with this guy. I think his name was like Ali or something like that. That was the joke. Was that the next day I'm sitting in front of my partner's porch, and the same dude that they caught stealing in the Seamoss farm, he starts walking down the street like it's nothing, and then waves like, "Hey guys." I'm just like, what? No, that's how it is. That's life in St. Lucia. So as for this new Seamoss Buyers Club, I still need to work more on it. Um, we're going to put the website out soon. When I start, I guess, getting a list of people that are interested in becoming a member, I'll probably do something special for those that, like, join in early adopters and stuff like that. But we're also going to launch, and this is something that Ricky from Gold Seamoss has been working on for a while, and I think it's a genius idea. And we're going to sort of launch it, and that is the Seamoss directory. And so now there'll be a website where you can go to, and if you're looking for someone that sells gel, then you can find that person and find them by the state or the area. You know what I mean? If you're looking for someone who sells Seamoss, you'll be able to find the like, I gotta figure out exactly how to kind of do it. But in some ways, we want to do it so that, like, you're local, and then if you sell like ship or whatever, you're doing regional. But really want to focus on local people choosing local businesses. So it's kind of like if you're in Philadelphia, you should know where all the Philadelphia gel makers are, all the Philadelphia um, guys that are selling raw or dried sea moss, all the ones that are doing wholesale, you know, and ideally buy from them as opposed to having someone from California ship it to you or from someone in Atlanta. You know what I mean? The market's big and there are people looking for this stuff, but I think they get lost and confused as to who to go to and where and why. And so this CMOS directory hopefully will kind of solve that problem and give people a direction on where they should be kind of like focusing their dollars, or, you know what I mean? Like, you ideally it's smarter to order gel from, if you're in Philadelphia, it's smarter to order gel from someone that's in Philly than to order someone that is in Tennessee or Texas. You know what I mean? And then just to see these different companies that do the different products and stuff like that. So that's going to be the first, I think, start, is that we're going to get the CMOS directory up and running, and just get more attention, more traffic there, so that businesses can sign up and, market and advertise there. And then when we launch the club, or when the club becomes active, because I think I kind of launched it now by saying it, but when we make the club active, then the part of the membership will be that you'll get, free or discounted advertising on the CMOS directory, which will be beneficial to your jobs and stuff like that. And that's another thing too, I think, is that, like, as part of the club, we'll do like a course on um, farmers, how to get into farmers markets. Do you know what I mean? And I'll have someone who probably is a member too, but someone in the industry that is really, because there's some people that all they do is farmers markets. Do you know what I mean? And like they're like an expert when it comes to farmers markets. So why not have them lead a course, and we'd pay them? You know what I mean? Like, pay them for their time. That's part of the fee for the membership. Like, there will be a fee for the membership, by the way, and that fee will go mainly into providing these different services, whether the educational stuff or, you know what I mean, the advertising and discounts and stuff like that, that those services will go towards that. Um, just circling back to what I talked about, the advanced mastermind thing, where I would additionally like take the people from this group, and I want to do like a private sort of like 20 people or so. I've been talking about this for years, but do an advanced mastermind group where we're working together to solve each other's problems and stuff. There will be a cost to it, but 100% of the proceeds or the funds charged will go towards basically providing material support and equipment support to farmers in St. Lucia. And yeah, I know some people are going to be like, well, what about these farmers and this and that? You know, we can get to other farmers. I'm not saying we won't. But if I'm going to give my time and my expertise and my energy, I think I should be able to pick who I want the beneficiary to be. You know what I mean? And you're welcome to start your own CMOS mastermind class or group, and you're free to go on the CMOS Buyers Club and promote it or whatever. I don't really care. I mean, there's lots of people that have started their groups using the membership of the CMOS Buyers Club, and I'm totally open to it. As long as your group is a beneficial group that helps people, then I see no reason why not to offer it to the rest of the members of the group there. You know what I mean? As much as I'm the only admin to that group and I created that group, I want it to be a group where I'm not the sole beneficiary of what happens in that group. You know what I mean? Like, you should be able to benefit, by either leveraging the membership or by like being able to get access to more information. And by me kind of controlling how people create or me blocking it so that people can't use the group to create their groups, I'm kind of like doing that. I'm kind of like making it so that only I have a say. And so as much as, well, I'll say this. I don't want it to be something where I'm the one that has the say, but I definitely want to be the one that has the final say. Always. Sometimes I sit here, I'm downstairs, right? I'm like, I'm jealous. Like I'm using my kid's computer station. This kid has like the ridiculous setup. And then like every once in a while I come down here and they got this like stuff where I'm just like, who bought this for them? Where did they get this? Like sometimes I gotta come to this kid and be like, how are you making money? But I love how they're so resourceful that they save their money. They they find ways to make money. They're always selling their stuff. That was one thing I kind of taught them at a young age, is how to flip the things that they don't want anymore. You know what I mean? It was like whenever they didn't want something, rather than throw it away, I'd be like, sell it, sell it. Like we'd have garage sales all the time. And I would always be selling, and I'd be like showing them how I would sell the stuff for like almost the same price as I bought it for. Because a lot of times they kept the stuff in good condition. So to me, it was kind of like, you know what I mean? Why am I selling this for a quarter of the price? When, you know what I mean, it's a good item, and if they had to buy this, they pay full price. I don't know. I think half price is more than fair for decent working items, electronics, toys. Anyways, uh, let me know if any of you guys have any questions about CMOS or anything related. I don't want this to be all about me talking about my kids and how they make money. I was actually hoping to do this tonight on my personal laptop, but I didn't. I'm using my kid's computer, and because I would have shown some of the video and the photos from my trip in St. Lucia. One of the things that I was working on down there is real estate. And so for those that don't know, before I really got fully into selling CMOS, I was a licensed realtor. So I sell real estate in Toronto. And so while I was down there, I went and scoped out a lot of different properties and land. And so, yeah, it was very fruitful. There's a lot of great opportunities in St. Lucia for property. They have a very strong, what's called a Citizen by Investment program, their CIP program, which basically allows anybody to come into their country with like a little bit of investment and own property in St. Lucia. And so, or no, sorry, not own property, but get a citizenship in St. Lucia. And one of the ways they can do that is by purchasing property. And so, one of the things that I'm going to learn over the next few months, a year, is basically how foreign people from other countries like North America, Canada, United States, how they can come to St. Lucia, invest in the country, purchase land, find out different business opportunities, and capitalize on that and get a citizenship if they want. So the what is it? The quappa? Sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but you want 1,000,000 pounds of sea moss. You and me both. I'd love to get my hands on 1,000,000 a pound on sea moss. So I'm from Toronto, Canada, Canadian. And so yeah, 1,000,000 pounds of sea moss. That's a lot of sea moss. I was actually the other day trying to figure out. I got to get back to it because it's so much calculations. But trying to figure out how much Ka. So kappa, the kappa. Anyways, yeah, getting back to saying is I want to calculate how much sea moss can be fit into a container. Canadians are basically Americans, anyways. Y'all sound like us. Yeah, that's true. Or Americans are basically Canadians. Either way, I remember one guy like one time was talking to me and he kept saying, "Well, in America we do this, in America we do." I'm just like, bro, you know I'm Canadian, right? Like we're fucking next door. Everything you do, we do here too. Like there's nothing you do that we can't do or won't do. You know what I mean? The only difference is you guys are gun happy, and you know we don't really deal with the guns down there. What time is it? 12 o'clock. My youngest kid is at a party. Who holds a party on a Sunday? That was the first thing when they told me that she was at a party. I was like, a party on a Sunday? I'm like, their parents must be like away or something. Like no one knows. Um, you know what I mean? Like the parents don't know what's going on. They're sneaking that party. Like it's the only day that they could do it. So it's like, fuck, we can only do it. And, you know, and the parents probably don't even think that their kid is having a party on a Sunday. I remember once I had a job. Fuck, I had a job doing everything. Well, it wasn't even a job, it was a business I had. So I had a property management business that specialized in short-term rentals. So I managed Airbnb properties. Basically trained people how to set them up. And I was actually paid by um, Airbnb for a while. Um, you better eat some green sea moss. Yeah, I need to eat some green sea moss. I haven't had some green sea. I haven't had sea moss in a while since I came back, which is like a week. I was having the sea moss when I was down there in St. Lucia, but it was different. Where the sea moss is boiled, but what was I just talking about before? You just got me sidetracked. I don't know. Forget it then. So yeah, I'm gonna eat some green sea moss because I haven't had sea moss in a while. And when I was down there in St. Lucia, they boil the sea moss. You know what I mean? Which is completely different here. And so when my dad makes it, like he kept it on the counter for like 3 days, which was crazy. Like I was almost scared to eat it because I've never known, like in all my business handling sea moss, I've never seen someone keep sea moss on a counter overnight. Like anytime I've done it, like that shit's going moldy, right? Um, I think with the difference in the Kappa is saying, what is the difference in boiling and not? I think the biggest difference is that it kills a lot of microbes, and those microbes are what help the mold happen quicker. And so, you know, that's what I know. I mean, I've taken both, and I've never felt like um, the boiled had no effect. You know what I mean? Like I still felt like I was taking sea moss. I felt, excuse me, still felt the energy. You know, I still felt the effects. So I don't think that you know. I'm wondering if it boiling it activates certain things similar to like THC and stuff. So your question is, should you boil it? I don't know. I can't really answer that question honestly because I don't know if you should boil. Like I've never done tests to see what the difference is of whether or not you boil it or not. What I will say is that most of the Caribbean have always traditionally boiled it. It's only now in North America that people are making the gel without it. And I'd like to know who decided to make the gel that way without boiling it. You know what I mean? And just kind of blending it, because most of the traditional Caribbean people that I know, they boil it and they add the spices and stuff like that. So I don't know. I would try boiling it. I would try not and see which one you like better, and then that's what you should go with. Which one makes you the most happiest? Because I'm not in the position or in the expertise to be able to tell you what you should do. Now I'll say this, that we've been talking a lot about whether or not we should go into making gels or not, right? Just because doing the gels says, I naturally just made it without boiling it. It's my fault. No, that's a lot. I don't boil it. You know what I mean? My dad boils it, right? But getting back to what I was saying, so there's a lot of talk. Well, I wouldn't say there's a lot of talk. There has been some talk, right? It was just brief. But when we have talked about making gels, I've come up with a decision that if we were to do it, then we would make it the traditional St. Lucian way. Like I would have my partner come fly up and teach us all how to make gel, how he makes it on the island, and how he makes the drinks and stuff like that. And that's how we would sell our drinks, or we'd sell our Seamoss, like the traditional sort of way that they do it. Because, like, you know what I mean? If we're going to be St. Lucian Seamoss Company, then we're going to do things the St. Lucian way. We're not going to, like, you know, are you a very literal person? Yes. If you notice, when I talk, I'm very, how do you say it? Careful of how I use words. And it's funny story is how I got that way is that when we were growing up as kids, we would all hang out in, at the time I think it was my brother's place. It was like kind of like the trap house or whatever. Like all these guys hanging out and shit. And so one of the things we would do to entertain ourselves is that we would have these big debates and arguments. And a lot of times the debate and argument would be won or lost based on something that the person had said. You know what I mean? And so if you weren't careful about what you were saying and how you were saying it, then you would catch yourself in a situation where, you know what I mean, your words worked against you. So I'm pretty careful about how I would, what I commit to and what I don't commit to. And if you listen to what I say, there's a lot of times where you will know if I know something's like for sure, or if I have doubts on something by the wording that I use. And hey, what's up, Ali? Thank you for joining us here in the group and Instagram. Yeah, so yeah, I think maybe this week I'm gonna make some green sea moss and I'm gonna make some purple sea moss because I haven't tried that in like a year or two. I'm gonna see how it affects me. It'd be interesting to see how changing up the sea moss after so long. And I always believe that like you don't want to be doing something like purple all the time because you need to kind of change things up and sort of like break your the placebo or the plateau. I find that after you take CMOS for a while, even though it's still working, your body kind of filters out the effects that you're feeling, and so it almost feels like you have no effect, but it's affecting you. It's just your body has tuned it out. I don't know if people really have like sat down and pondered or thought about the amount of stimulus that we have at all times. Like there's fans going, there's lights going, there's all sorts of movements, there's smells, there's all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? And so in order to save our sanity, our mind will tune things out and so you don't see them. That's why sometimes having a certain focus on something will bring and attract something. And it's not so much that it's really attracting it, but what happens is that your focus is now tuned into that, so that you recognize and identify it. You start breathing on the same frequency of that object. Says Drax from the Guardians of the Galaxy. I know the show. I know the movie Gardens of the Galaxy. I actually like that, but I don't know all the characters and stuff. And I didn't know that that was like from a comic book. I'm not a real comic book guy, to be honest with you. I was a big nerd growing up. All I did was read books and stuff, and I read a lot of biographies. I was really into biographies and reading about people's lives and what they did. And, I'm a very, how do you say it? Strong believer in the power of decisions and understanding how to make decisions. And sometimes, and it happens a lot, but I'll get caught up and lose focus on how my decisions are affecting things. But when I become present to this fact or focus on it, it really sort of changes my world, because how you make decisions really affect the outcome of the world. Drax is the one whose species is literal. I'm not sure. Let me Google this. Drax, Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, okay, this guy. Drax the Destroyer. Wow. So he can fly, survive in open space, and utilize telepathic abilities and a connection to the supercomputer Titan called Isaac after one rebirth. Oh, cool. I have to learn more about this Guardian of the Galaxy stuff and the different characters. But that's cool that he has telepathic abilities. Yes, that's me, literal. You know what I mean? But what people don't realize is that there are power in our words, right? That's one of the things I learned by reading a lot of these biographies and stuff, and the different sort of self-help books. There's power in our words, and many times we use the wrong words for the wrong reasons in the wrong places at the wrong times. And so if you listen to sometimes what people are saying, they have no idea what the fuck they're saying. They're not even making sense. Like I like a lot of times I'm listening to people, or I'm just like I understand what they're saying, but I'm like, I don't think they understand what they're saying, because they're using, different words and different contacts and you know all this stuff, and then it's just like, but they're doing it to kind of sound good and stuff. And I think a lot of it has to do with the programming. I don't think people, um what's up, Banks 360? Good to see you're able to tap in. I hope you made it home safe. I don't think people understand the power and control that the television has over many people's lives. Like, most people base their decisions based on the TV shows and movies that they watch without even realizing it. Because what they don't realize is that when they're watching these shows, the information that's being presented in the show is being fed to their subconscious. And so the more they watch the show, the more the subconscious begins to see, like, it's hard for this is all my belief, by the way, but it's hard for the subconscious to differentiate between a real world and an experience of a world. And so when you're watching TV, you're watching an experience of a world, you know what I mean, of whatever's in that television. And but the thing is that that experience is made up. It's not real. That's Life is never what it's like on TV. Not even the documentaries, not even these shows where the reality shows. All of it is scripted. All of it is controlled. There is a guy behind the camera that is controlling the message that's being presented on the camera in order to make sure that it has certain things like continuity, like the proper flow, and so that you as the viewer become interested and captivated. You know what I mean? If you were to watch real life, it's like watching a security camera, and you would lose interest. Like after 10 minutes, you'd just be like, "Fuck, this is boring." You know what I mean? I remember I got that taste when I don't know if people remember when Big Brother first came out, like years ago. They had this Big Brother show, and one of the things they had was like Big Brother After Dark. You know what I mean? And then they would like be bigging it up. Oh, see what they're doing at night. See what they do in the privacy of their home. It's so funny how marketing feeds you the shit. And so I'm like, I bought into it. Oh, I wonder what they're doing, XXX or whatever, Fucking the most boring as shit. Like you watch this guy for 10 minutes eating cereal. He's just like, no, no, no. And it's just like, okay, so people are paying $30 a month to get this. Are you serious? But it's yeah, it's crazy. But what it showed me was that I go like, in order for television to be interesting, it has to be scripted. It has to be controlled. And so we start watching this stuff and we begin to think that life is like that with conflicts and all these arcs and different, nemesis and shit like that. Most times that stuff's not there. And it's only there if you focus on it. And that's what I think a lot of people need to realize is that how you build your world determines on what you focus on, right? And so it's like when you buy a new car and say you get like a Honda Civic, like blue, you know what I mean? For the next like for as long as you own that car, every time a Honda blue car will come out, you will see that right away because your mind is focused on that. You know what I mean? It's broken through this filter. Like, you know, we're walking and seeing thousands of cars pass by. How do we, what I mean, our mind adjusts to see what we need to see? And having that adjustment helps you make decisions better, right? When your mind's focused in the right way so that when your mind is in a healthy state, you can make decisions better, which then affect your outcome better. So uh, so you got to be careful about what you watch, what you read, and ultimately what you say. That's sort of my whole take on this. You know what I mean? Is so I don't really watch a lot of TV. I watch some news at the end of the day at night, and it's really St. Lucian news. And the only reason why I watch the news is because I want to understand the culture and language of the people. Because if I'm going to do business with them, I need to know um, how they think, feel, and react. You know what I mean? And so by watching the news, I understand the culture of the country and sort of like what's tolerable and what's not, and this stuff. I don't know. I don't want to say too much about that stuff, but I'll say this thing is that I find that the both political parties in St. Lucia tend to be focused more on the other party than they are focused on really solving problems and creating change. They care more about the image and sort of the perception of the public than anything else, and that's a scary thing in my opinion. When it could, like, that's where I don't really subscribe to political action and stuff like that, because to me it's all rigged. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that you only have two sides and like no one can just jump in and be an independent or stuff. Maybe in St. Lucia, but I know definitely in North America you can never have that. You can never have some guy decide, okay, I'm going to run on who I am and everything like that. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, these guys are all puppets. Most of these guys, even when they're elected, they're not making the sole decisions on everything. They're sort of like the face that has to sell the what actually happens. Now he might put his 2 cents in and say, I think this or I think that, but ultimately, if enough people gang up on them, they're not. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? That's I don't know. That's my perception of how politics are, but that is what it is. I got this big sandwich I need to finish. I'm hungry. I barely ate anything all day. I was at church. I made some notes to see what I wanted to talk about tonight. So I think I wanted to talk out. I did just talk a little bit about the real estate opportunities. There's some land down there in the south that looked really favorable. I think I posted a picture of it. It's like, I think something like 15 acres on the side of an area called Mulashik. And it's basically on the side of a mountain, goes right down to the beach. I think they want something like 5 or 7 million for it. Big plot of land. You can break that up into smaller spots and sell them as individual lots, which I think would be great. And you'd build sort of like a vacation rental, and you take that vacation rental and you put it out on Airbnb, and you can do an average, I think, of like anywhere between 300 to 500 a night, 550, depending on the location and the amenities, like the finishing. So you could do up to like about 500 or 530 a night with I think 20% occupancy, or not. Yeah, maybe it was 20%, which is still not too bad, you know. Let me make sure I have those numbers. I always like making sure that I whenever I say something, I'm not sort of like talking out of my ass, just making shit up. Because it's very easy to do that. And what I find nowadays is that people don't like to check and verify information, which I think is crazy, because mistakes happen. People, like, shit happens. Like, you need to kind of check to see, like, there's broken telephone. Even just that alone, So let's go and look on here because there's a map. Oh, wow, it's changed. So I was looking at this a few weeks ago, and the occupancy rate was like, I remember it being lower, like something like 20%, I thought. But now I'm seeing in some of these areas it's like 70%, which is like, that's hot. I'd love to get a 70% occupancy. I think it's also depending on the I share my screen. It's really depending on the property and like what features it has and stuff. So those that are Instagram, you can't really see what I'm showing, but I'm looking at this site, if you ever want to get into Airbnb, this is one of the key sites you need to find. It's called AirDNA. And what they do is they create a report that basically shows like it aggregates all the rental data information. And so when you are doing research on where to build a rental for Airbnb, it's like, these having this kind of data is huge, because in one area here, even in St. Lucia, you can get something where it's 540 EC a night. And then just next door, there's a place where the average rate is $189 EC a night. You know what I mean? That's a huge, huge difference. You know, so I've been using this site to help find and identify good areas to put properties for timeshare vacation rental. I mean, like in Soufrière, it's 500 average a night. In Soisel, right next door, it's like 245. You know, let's see what Vieux-Fort 289, Library 246. So yeah, these are the different rates. And so knowing that information can really determine how well you do on, a property. So it's like, you don't want to buy land and make sure and to find out you bought it in the wrong area, where it's like, if you had been like a mile over, or, a little bit over, you would have been in a more highly favorable area, so that's important. And so I want to kind of be an expert for that in St. Lucia's, to know where all the hotspots are, know the values of these hotspots, so that, when someone's coming down to buy property, they can be sure that the price that they're paying is a realistic market price, and not something that is inflated because they're a foreigner, which I've seen kind of happen, or I mean, it's obvious that it happens. So, see who's watching. Sometimes it lets me see. Sometimes it doesn't. Oh, okay. I see. Seamoss Boss is watching. I hope you're having a good flight. Oh, if you're still on the flight, I don't know. I started this so late. You probably stopped flying by then. One of the things that I want to do with that CMOS Buyers Club, like I talked earlier a little bit on the buyer side, but I want, I guess, vendors to know, or sellers, that I am going to create, I guess, like a platform for those that are, you know, that are selling the CMOS in larger quantities, to be able to tap into the membership and sell to them. So, there are people that want to buy CMOS from Africa, or CMOS from St. Vincent. It's not like St. Lucia is the only place to get good CMOS, right? And so we'll set up something where, you know, these vendors will be able to sell their product to the same membership. Now, there will be some kind of, I don't want to say restrictions, but more qualifications. You know what I mean? Not anybody will be able to become like what I would call like a verified seller. And there'll be certain things that you're going to have to offer to our members that you might not offer to other ones. You know what I mean? Like ensuring that there's a high level of consistent quality. Um, I don't know, maybe being able to take the return. So if the customer is not happy, you can, send it back. ideally, I think that would be great. You know what I mean? And game changing is to have something like that where it really puts it on the onus of the seller to ensure that the quality is good. I've seen situations, and I don't want to name names or anybody or give details, but it's, how do you say it? It's like you'd be foolish to believe that there aren't times when the seller or certain sellers are sending you CMOS of lower quality, knowing that you won't return the CMOS because it's a challenge. Do you know what I mean? And so that's something, as a member, you want to protect yourself against. And I feel like by, joining into this membership, you would get access. It's almost like for us to offer that service, we would have to make sure that all the vendors are vetted, and that if there's an issue, then the customer will be able to have their issue resolved, and you know and maybe even have it so some of these verified members, sellers, they're sending the CMOS up to North America here for us to store and resell. And so that could be another feature where it's like, you know, as a member, that, you're going to get your CMOS. The CMOS is you know, landed in Toronto. You know what I mean? And so, you order from these same guys that, we're going to ship it out for them in the next 2-3 days. I don't see anything like wrong with, say, creating a program where these vendors can rent space in my warehouse and use that space to like sort of send their CMOS in bulk and then have it broken down into smaller quantities for resale. So those are the kind of ideas and sort of plans that I have working on for the what I would call the sellers or the vendors of the CMOS. You know what I mean? And I think that this would be a great opportunity to, you know, uh, create more stable prices, more consistent sales, and to provide more support to the consumer or the buyer. One of the things that I want this membership to be able to do is show them how to sell more CMOS. You know what I mean? So you're paying for this membership fee. Not only are you getting cheap CMOS, or not, I don't want to say cheap CMOS. Not only are you getting good quality CMOS at a very affordable price, but you're getting support on how to sell it. You know what I mean? You're getting ideas and the graphic designer guy to help you market it, help you do, essentially get the word out and stuff, which is really what makes or breaks your business. And understanding that is huge. Like even recently, I started advertising again, and I had to slow down because so much has changed since the last time that I've advertised, that all the methods and strategies that I was using before aren't really working, you know, as good or at all than compared to, what it used to be like. So those are all things to be considered, Oh, finish this sandwich. Mm-mm-mm. But I think when, it's going to be slow to start, but I think once it gets going, this organization will be, um, it will solve a lot of problems between the buyers and the sellers. And I think it will create a more standardized playing field, and it will create an environment that will be supportive to people growing. like expanding their business and growing it. I feel that too many, and I don't want to point fingers and stuff like that, but I just feel that there's too many of us, even myself kind of included, that are not, that could be doing a lot better if they just pushed a little bit harder. And that's not to say that they're not pushing hard. I'm sure they are. I'm sure there's lots of people pushing hard. But as I touched on a live stream before, is that enough? Do you know what I mean? Like, how much, energy do you need to put in to make it work? And the reality is that you don't know until you try it. You know what I mean? And you won't know until it starts working. And so, if things are at a certain level and they haven't grown bigger, then it's kind of like you need to start looking at what you need to change within yourself to increase these sales. Because, I don't know, everybody has their different sort of journey or their different desires of what they want to get out of this. But from what I've seen watching the overall market and environment, it's that many of us that are doing this are hoping to build it to a point where they can step away from the kitchen and step away from everything else and be able to have the business run on its own. And that's a big step, to even trust people to do that, to even get the stuff organized to do that. Me, just this recent trip, being able to go away for a month, it wasn't easy. Like I had to, and it wasn't easy, but it was smart, and it was a good. I wish I had done it sooner, because what it did is it forced me to hire staff, train staff, and put people in place to do a lot of the work that I would normally do because I was there. But that time was taking me, not only taking my time, but just taking my focus and my energy away from other tasks that I could be doing in the business that would bring in more sales. You know what I mean? And so the hope is that in the next few months, the business is going to grow exponentially, but grow at a very large pace, because now instead of putting 2 hours a day on marketing, I can afford to put 6 or 7. And that's what people don't realize. It's like you put 6 hours a day into anything. I don't care what it is, anything. You put 6 hours of dedication in a day, right? If you're not successful by a month, there's something wrong with you. Really. Like, and usually what it is that you're lying to yourself, and you're telling yourself or making yourself believe that you're putting 6 hours of work when you're really only putting 1 hour, which is delusional, but it happens a lot. And I think that's a lot of where people's when they don't understand why the business or whatever they were trying, didn't make it or didn't work, it's because they weren't present to the actual amount of work that they were putting in. And they were kind of like I don't want to say faking themselves, but leading themselves to believe that they were putting more work than they actually were, or that the work that they were putting in really had more value than what it actually was. Which is rather unfortunate, but it is what it is. No, I was always wondered, like, what do I need to do to create more numbers on these live streams? Like, I never understood, like what it is that like, it's not just being yourself. That's for sure. Because I get like no one watching these live streams on Facebook. It's either that, or maybe they see me eating a burger and they get turned off. You know what I mean? Which is funny in itself, because my health journey and desires should have no effect on what you're doing. You know what I mean? Too many people care about too many other people when they really should only be concerned with themselves. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit selfish, in my opinion. You know, if you don't take care of yourself, no one will. If you don't love yourself, no one will. You know what I mean? So, running out of liquids. I'm gonna get a drink. Yeah, so that's what I was just talking about. Yeah, I find it funny how I could have a Facebook group with 9,000 people in it, over 9,000, and I can't even get 10 people to come and watch this live stream at once. Which makes me wonder why. Like, is it because of, the views that I have or the opinions that I have? Is it because, the show is not structured where I'm giving you all this information? You know what I mean? Because in some ways, as kind of cocky as it sounds, like, or I don't know, selfish or whatever, but I intentionally don't do that. Like, I want you to watch the whole show. I want you to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like, not come in here to cherry pick your information. Like, you're supposed to be a part of the discussion and part of the whole learning, and almost being on your feet, not knowing what's going to be said or talked about next. You know what I mean? That's what I love about watching this stuff. And I sometimes will watch these episodes, like rewatch them just to kind of analyze what I said or did, you know? And it's interesting to see myself, like, discuss the things that we discuss, you know what I mean? And the format that we have it. And there's times where I'm kind of like waiting to see, what are they going to talk about next? And the fact that this is not like, how do you put it, like heavily on the sales. Like, I'm not here selling CMOS, you know what I mean? I'm here because I am passionate about CMOS and I love talking to people about it. And the more I talk about CMOS, the more I learn, the more I want to learn. You know what I mean? Even sometimes when I troll these guys online, like, I love when they put out these controversial stuff because it forces me to go do the more research to read up more on it, What's up, Visionary? Is that Visionary the rapper? I think it is. Yo, Visions. I'm gonna double check that because I think that's my buddy's boy, this wicked guy from St. Lucia. It's my friend's business partner, I should say, friend's business partner, whatever. One of his friends, and I'm gonna just double check because it's hard to see on this phone. So I'm going to, you know what? They always make you put this code. So, what makes you so passionate about CMOS? That's a good question. I think one, because there's something magical about CMOS. There's like power in it. You know what I mean? There's this life energy. It's just like something that you can't explain. And being in the water, with the sea moss, it's just like, I don't know, so therapeutic. And so it's that. But what I think really fuels my passion for the knowledge aspect is because I'll never forget being in St. Lucia and meeting some of these farmers, and some of them like freaking out on me, right? Not on me, but freaking out in front of me, where they're like, "Do you know who this Akeem Pierre guy is?" And I'm like, well, I know who he is. You know what I mean? He's like, well, you when you see him next, I want you to. I'm like thinking in my head, like, see him next. I don't think I'll ever see that guy. But these guys were like freaking out, like, oh my god, when you know what I mean? I want you to talk to this guy, and you know, blah blah blah. You know, like he said this about Seamoss, and he was wrong, and he doesn't know what he's talking about, and you know, and so, um, no, I don't believe. It's not to say that he doesn't know what he's talking about, but I don't believe that he intentionally um was out there to mislead people. Do you know what I mean? Or put the wrong information. And so that's what made me think, okay, you know what? If I'm going to come out here, I'm going to make sure that, you know, I'm putting out the right information. You know what I mean? And so that, you know, I don't want anybody pulling me aside and being, hey, like, why did you say this or why did you say that? You know what I mean? I wanted the people to pull me aside and be like, yes, bro. You know what I mean? Like you spoke the truth, and you know you did your research and blah blah blah. You know. So why do some people say that CMOS doesn't have 92 minerals and it only has 10 to 15? Because it's the truth. And so I think um, there's more than 10 and 15 vitamins, but for the most part, when they're doing this, there's like about 15 main minerals. And it's like, I don't know all of them, but a couple off the top of my head is like magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, zinc, iron, um, iodine. I think it's chromium or something like that. There's these certain like main core minerals or nutrients that are essential for life. This 92 like 102 thing, I don't know where he got that theory or that information. No one to this day has been able to put up an accurate list of 92 minerals. Period. That's how I know it's full of shit. Because when those people that do put the minerals together and you start googling some of the names of the minerals and the uses that it has in the body, you then really realize how full of shit these people are. Yeah, see, I don't want to talk ill of Dr. Sabi because I get it. A lot of people are passionate about what he is, but people need to realize that he was selling products. He wasn't like they talk about how he was a big healer. He was a big healer for the right price. He wasn't doing this stuff for free. Do you know what I mean? And you had to pay a lot of money to to get into his inner circle and get connected with him. So he was selling and hyping himself up to create, you know, all this stuff. Now, a lot of the stuff, maybe at the time the information was accurate and current, but in today's age, you know what I mean? It's like the information is different. You know what I mean? There is no 92 minerals. There just isn't. You know what I mean? And CMOS can't get nutrients from a rock. It just can't. Do you know what I mean? How can you do it for free if the product's a cost? No, see, listen, I don't have a problem with him charging money. That's not what I'm saying. Is that these people would go on as if he was doing it for free, and that he wasn't trying to sell something. And what I'm trying to say is that whenever you're buying something, you can't always take what the person's saying for face value. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes things are said in the spirit of selling it. Do you know what I mean? They're selling the magic, the sizzle, the fizzle. And so shit that may not be totally accurate comes out. You know what I mean? I don't know where he got this information, but that's the thing. No one knows where he got this information. So if you can't point to a body of work and where you obtain this knowledge, then how did you get this knowledge? Do you know what I mean? Like, how did you know that rocks got the nutrients from there? Where's the proof? What is the science behind that, even that process or that ability? No one can explain it and go into detail. That's how I know it's full of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you can't sit there and explain to me how it's even possible, then how can you tell me it's possible? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you don't? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I said, like I could go on and on and on and on and on about how, like, logically, that rock minerals from the rock does not make sense. Do you know what I mean? And you're right, it is marketing. Do you know what I mean? Because when you tell someone this has 92 of the 102 bought minerals you need, oh, I have 100. Well, that was a big number. It's better than saying, well, we're not exactly sure how many minerals you need, but this has got 64 of them. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, 64 doesn't sound like there's a different message that you're received when someone tells you 64 versus 92. Automatically 92 is more impressive than 64. Do you know what I mean? And so was he saying this stuff to be more impressive? And here's the thing too, you know, it's not to say that he said this stuff to lie and mislead people. What if he had to say this stuff to get you to buy into it? Do you know what I mean? Like, what if he went around to all these people and said, well, it's only got 64. Well, 64. You know what I mean? That doesn't sound like a lot. Why should I buy this? Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes not to say you have to lie, but sometimes you have to twist the truth in order to get people to buy into something, and never is that more experience like memorable for me than back when I used to have a business selling cars. So before I got into real estate, I was a used car salesman, and me and my friend had a used cars lot. Like, we'd buy cars and then we'd sell them. And I hated the job. And the reason why I hated the job more than anything was because the cars were okay and all that shit was not bad. It was the amount of lying that I had to do and the amount of twisting the truth, and like how I had to bullshit people and to get them to buy it. Because if I told them the truth, they wouldn't buy. Like, here's the question: how long is this car gonna last me? Fuck, I don't know. The reality is, you could turn around the corner and that car just blows up. Like, that's how cars are nowadays. Like, I have no idea about the history of the car. I have no idea about how it was driven or what's inside the hood, or if there's this. And you're asking me a question where I almost have to put my word on it and guarantee on it. And even if I did, there is no guarantee. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if I just explain it to you the way I just did now, would you buy the car? Hell no. So it'd be like, no, there's no problem. The car's fine. Yeah, man, the cars like this have tons of miles and things don't go wrong with it. You know? Man, one of my projects is named 102 Minerals. It has Seamoss, bladderwrack, nori, dulse, roots, alfalfa, and dried sour cherries. That product sounds cool. And you know what? So what? If you want to believe that the stuff that you has 102 minerals, then just go for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no proof as to it why. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I it's like a tough thing because I get it when, like, when someone has invested so much into something that it's not easy to change. Like, for example, there's a guy out there, great guy, sells amazing sea moss, great business guy, and it's called Jamaican Me Sea Moss. And when he started the business, he was selling Jamaican sea moss. But for whatever reason, he's decided that he likes the St. Lucian sea moss better. Now, I'm not saying St. Lucian sea moss is better. That's what his preference is. Because I can assure you, for every 10 people that I could convert to St. Lucian sea moss, there's probably 10 that would convert to Jamaican sea moss. Like, I don't subscribe that there's one sort of end all and be all, sea moss that, all the rest are shit. That's why I get so mad when people are always like putting down sea moss. You know what I mean? Like this sea moss compared to like, never will you see us come in and compare our sea moss to anybody else's. Do you know what I mean? Mainly because we feel like our sea moss is uncomparable. You know what I mean? It's some of the cleanest, prettiest sea moss that you can get out of St. Lucia. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that the other sea mosses aren't pretty and stuff, but when it comes to St. Lucian sea moss, this is what we have. And watch what I say. Some of the best. I never say it's the best. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? I just don't like pool grown sea moss. No such thing. I don't believe there that, especially in the in the industry that we're in, there is no fake sea moss. There is no pool grown sea moss. This is all stuff that Dr. Sabi, it's his marketing. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what he had to say to show people that his product was the product that you need to buy. You know what I mean? He created a fear into saying, well, you know what? You could be getting fake CMOS. You can't trust this CMOS. You can't do this and that. You know what I mean? And so I'll say this. I have been selling CMOS for over 2 years now, and I have been actively um, researching and looking for pool grown operations. I have probably spent, if I had to estimate, at least 200 hours researching and looking for evidence of pool grown sea moss. So the stuff that isn't dried and has mad salt on it, even the taste of it is weird compared to St. Lucia. So what if I were to tell you that I could show you sea moss from St. Lucia that looks almost identical and has the same salt quality and everything as that, right? And that this is where I know why I know that there's no pool grown operations. First of all, in order for the amount of supply that people believe is fake, the amount of CMOS out there on the market that people see as fake, they would have there would have to be a facility that one could see. None of these guys, if there's people growing CMOS in a pool, none of them would be hiding it. Do you know what I mean? This is not something where they would be doing it in secret and be like, oh, we can't let our customers know. If they were doing it in a pool, they would probably be like flouting that, saying, hey, look, we've taken all the bad stuff out of the sea and created this, product and stuff. Now, there is one company, is called, I think, the Acadia Seafood Company. They're in Nova Scotia. They cultivate and grow Condorus crispus in tanks. They do it off land, and it's mainly because the brand of sea moss that they have is it's basically their own brand of sea moss, and the sea moss is it's their own brand of sea moss, and it has these different colors and stuff, and they make it for the restaurants, right? But even just running a pool grown operation, it's just not economically feasible. You know what I mean? Like, it's so expensive just to build the pools. Then you got to run all the piping. Then you got to run the filters. Then you got to run the tanks. Then you got to run the test. The everything to make sure that the mineral quality is right and stuff like that. It just doesn't really happen. And those, you know, and even if they did, like, they would be producing it at such a cheap level that they would sell it more to the industrial market than the actual retail market, because they would know that the quality is low. A lot of the sea moss that you think is pool grown or fake is really what it is it's just low quality sea moss that wasn't dried correctly. Yeah, it's probably just grown. Okay, so the reason why it tastes weird and smells weird is because it wasn't cleaned properly. A lot of that salt, that's the reason why there's so much salt on it. It's because it wasn't cleaned properly, and a lot of the salt and everything was left on it, and that will give it an off smell. Usually, the chemical smell that you're smelling, I believe, is ammonia, and it comes from the sea moss breaking down and decomposing from the high moisture content. And the reason why it has a high moisture content is because in the sea moss industry, on the large scale industry, like the commercial industry, there's two grades on which you can dry the sea moss. You can request the sea moss to be dried at 35%, or you can request the sea moss to be dried at 10%. The kind that we're used to and that we see a lot, that sea moss was dried at 10%. The stuff that we think is fake and has gummy worms and whatever, that stuff was dried at 35%. And then additionally, they say, oh, well, they added salt to it and stuff like that. That salt is coming from the actual dried sea moss, especially if it's a sea moss that is high in moisture content. As you are, as the sea moss is drying in the bag or whatever container, it's going to start sweating and releasing moisture. As that moisture gets in contact with air, it starts forming crystals. Now, I believe that in these large scale operations, they're using machines to speed up the drying process. And so, in that case, with heat applied to it, it changes the formations of the crystals that are coming off the sea moss. And so, as opposed to a light, sort of feathery, dusty crystal that you would typically get off sea moss drying in a natural setting, because it's in a now an unnatural setting, the crystal formation changes and it actually looks more like rock salt. I've done experiments where I've taken water or taken salt, added it to water, and then allowed it to basically reform into the salts again. And when I've applied heat to it, the crystals have formed differently than when they would off the sea moss. So that's where you get a lot of the salts and stuff like that. It's listen, the sea moss is coming from the sea. There's salt in the sea. There's that's where it's coming from. Do you know what I mean? And sea moss is like, don't quote me on these numbers, but I'm taking a guess. It's like 90% moisture and 10% fiber. You know what I mean? That's why when you dry it, it goes to a 10-to-1 ratio. You know what I mean? 10 pounds turns into 1 pound dried because of the level that you dry it at. You know what I mean? And so a lot of that moisture gets washed out. This is the same reason why sometimes you'll take the purple sea moss and go to hydrate it, and the water, the purple starts leaking into the water. It's because when you go through the chemical change of the sea moss, I believe, when you're making purple, I believe that it's the moisture within the purple sea moss that is making it go purple, and not the fibers of the sea moss. And so when you rehydrate it, it becomes lighter and almost like pinkish, and sometimes the water will turn color because it's seeping back out into the water. Yeah, and most of the I have no proof of this, but I believe that most of the sea moss is grown in other countries. They're grown in maybe not so much polluted waters, but waters that are not of the best quality, that are not mineral rich. See, the sea moss gets all the water, all its minerals from the dissolved nutrients in the water. It can't get it from the rock. It's just it has no how do you say it, biofunctionality. Like, it has no root system. It has no ability for even the sea moss to break down the rock and convert the rock into a state on which it can absorb onto it. Like, scientifically, it's just not possible. You know what I mean? Because sea moss is not a plant; it's an algae. And so, as algae are formed, they're built by absorbing the moisture from within its skin or its cell membrane, right? And so that's why, it needs to be moving in the water and stuff, because you need fresh currents and fresh nutrients for it to come, and then it passes along its sort of cell membrane, and it gets absorbed. That's how it that's how it feeds and eats. You guys gotta give me 1 second. I gotta check out this. I'm getting a text message. I gotta read. 1 second. Okay. Oh,
Yes, Julien, that's me. That's Asher. Okay, that's okay. Seamoss monk. That's what Seamoss. Jaconet.
well, I was just on Netflix. On Netflix, sorry. I was on doing the live stream, and I went to go check a message, and it cut me off. Problems with this, but I probably will do this for another, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, and then I'm going to have to go because I have to go and pick up my daughter or my child. She They identify as they instead of she, but whatever. What's up, the Kappa? Sorry, I don't know what happened there. I got disconnected when I went to check the text message. So um, I'm back, and yeah, I'm still amazed. Like no one, barely anybody's here. I thought you moved to St. Lucia to live there. No, I didn't. I have a house in St. Lucia, so I live there part time. My dad's there right now. I should actually give him a call tomorrow, because if I don't call him this week, he's gonna start freaking out. But I always drop him and I don't check on him and this and that. I don't know. But I am going back down there, hopefully in I guess November, October, November. I should really check online right now, see what flights are coming up. Okay. So how much did it cost to buy a house there? I want to get one there. So I could definitely help you in finding and buy a house. Um, the house that I live in, or that I own, it was how do you say it, willed to me or whatever. It was my grandma's house, and so when she passed on, she gave the house to me and my brother and my dad. And so currently, right now, my dad, all the house is in his name, and then we've worked it out so that the house will get split between me and my brother once my dad is passed on. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a blessing. You know what I mean? And I'm very grateful to have this opportunity to do that. And what's crazy is I knew that I was going to start a business in St. Lucia when this was over, but I never knew to this extent or to this level. You know what I mean? I thought I might have a couple small things here and there, but St. Lucia has really, the Seamoss has really become a focus in my life currently. Uh, so let's see what. See what airports I can go to. Let's see. Let's do the October Monday. Oh, would that be too long? Let's see. Oh, that's what I forgot to add. I can do up to 3 days. That's why I like Kayak, the site here. Yes, it's a blessing. Thank you so much. But to answer your question earlier, you can buy a house for as little as like say 100,000 US to as much as like 5 million. Like I said, it all depends on how big the house is and where it's located. That would determine, you know, the deal. Wait a sec. Okay. That's like the second time I left the app, and I left the app, and then the app crashed on me. This is crazy. I'm looking at the different flights. Some of these flights are crazy expensive. Let's see what happens. It was sending me flights from the airport, from the island airport. It's like hella expensive. Yeah, look at this. It's basic blue. You have to do one stop in JFK and 2 stops, one in JFK, one in Boston. But I would fly to the Toronto Island. That's not bad for $1,000. Oh, I could just go downtown and fly. But they have wow, some of these flights, $5,000 for a flight. That's crazy. Like, who pays that much for a ticket? I wonder if I left on a Sunday, would that make a difference? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, buddy, I don't know what keeps happening. Every time I leave the screen, it cancels out on me. App crashes. I'm back to looking up flights. I'm trying to understand how these ticket things work. It's just a big scam. So far, the cheapest I've seen is $1,300, which is crazy. Here's one where it stops in Atlanta for 8 hours. That would be cool. Get a nice stopover. But I don't know. Someone's telling me that I went on WestJet's website. I get a better deal. I got a really good deal the last time. Last time I went there, last time I flew to St. Lucia, I got round trip business flight tickets for I think $800 or something like that. Like, it was crazy. It was like what I normally would pay for like a regular fare. I got business with it. Oh wow, so the prices have shot up. What the? I think that's a seat sale. Where would be the return date? I think I might do that. That's still expensive. Fuck. Wow, the lowest fare is $538, and then the premium is $1,500. It's crazy. Same thing with the return. So I think my flight's gonna be like $1,000. $933. That's not bad. I'll look it up tomorrow because I'll have to use my points to pay for the ticket anyways. Oh, it's been quiet tonight. You know, I thought there'd be more people wanting to engage or been waiting for me, since it's been like pretty much a month since I did my last live stream, or over a month. So, but it is what it is, you know. I enjoyed the time that I had here. I think maybe I'm just gonna call it a night, call it earlier. We've been doing it for what? I've been on live now for 2 hours. So I think 2 hours is good. I can get some sleep, go to bed early, and get up early. Maybe what I'll do is I'll get up early and do an early live stream. See who's up in the morning and ready to talk about Seamoss. Oh, I gotta be careful. This thing's getting hot. I forgot about that the last time I used this as a charging device. Oops. Yeah. Well, I think I had a great night tonight. I appreciate those that came by to hang out and talk with me. Yeah, if and I guess I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Wednesday, I'll probably talk a little bit more about this the Seamoss Buyers Club program that I've started. I think by Wednesday I should have like something set up so that you could at least join and start getting some of the benefits and stuff like that. I want to really put that together because I have access to a lot of Seamoss, like a lot of Seamoss, and I feel like in order to help these people sell the Seamoss, because a lot of them are looking for markets to sell, I need to create an environment where we're really pushing people to sell more Seamoss, getting them hyped, getting them motivated, giving support on like even how to get on Amazon and all these other different platforms where they could be selling their product, and just going from there. What's this? Sorry, I'm just reading this package. It's like a moisture pack, which is interesting because I'd like to see how these would help with the Seamoss. The Seamoss needs to be regulated. Like it's always got too much moisture. Or not too much moisture, not enough moisture. Anyways, sorry, it's getting late and I'm just rambling on. So, thank you all for watching me tonight, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. And until then, don't forget to take your Seamoss. Have a great day.